Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. This is Michelle.
And Mark.
And this is Mark and Michelle.
It is true. And we wanted to talk to you tonight about, it's all about diet, baby.
Yeah.
And so it really is all about diet because just a couple of quick, short things. I was moderately functioning autistic, and I used diet and supplements alone to cure me of all the physical ailments so far of autism. That being the heavy metals, still working on some of the intended infections like strep and viral, but damaged gut and poorly functioning brain. All of those things are now working in great order, and I did that all with diet. Michelle here.
You want me to tell about
I
me?
want you to tell your short story.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we're going to talk about the GAPS diet tonight, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I love what it did to my husband, for my husband, until it wasn't working anymore. But I got really sick on the GAPS diet.
That is true.
And
Marlo?
Hi, Marlo. Once we started the medical medium, I felt better in one day. Incredible.
Yes.
Just the switch. So, yes. And I went from having daily migraines, frozen shoulders, irritable bowel syndrome, and so many other problems, joints, stuff. And now I hardly have any of that. And it's been a year and 8 months.
It has. And
oh yeah, I had the extreme fatigue. There was a month that I went with almost no sleep. And I'm sleeping really well now.
2016 or something like that. Yeah.
And I think the reason the GAPS quit working for Mark and never worked for me is because it is a high-fat diet. If you eat meat and broth, medical medium says that broth is dehydrating. And plus you add the fat from the meat, the fat from butter, from all of the fat that you eat. And my liver was really backed up. And it also all feeds the viruses and strep. So I just kept getting sicker. So I was diagnosed with Lyme disease in 1990 or 91. It's been so long ago. And so medical medium says Lyme disease is actually a viral problem, which makes a lot of sense to me. And now that I've changed my diet and I'm not feeding all of that stuff, it is, and I'm actually doing things that kills the stuff, I am feeling the best I have felt since I was probably 17. Okay, now, so there's my story.
Right. And the GAPS diet did help a couple of things for her, but really, generally, it just made her worse.
Oh, it was bad.
Right. But the GAPS diet isn't for everyone. There is no one size fits all. Those of you who, we've been doing interviews with mothers who have recovered their children or in the process of recovering their kids. And what we're finding is the stories are very similar, but they're not exactly the same. And since they are, you can tell that there is no one size fits all. I can't say, hey, do the GAPS diet, then do the medical medium diet, then bam, your autism would be gone. It won't.
And it's trial and error. It's pick and choose. It's like, well, what is the symptom that you're experiencing? And then there's all of these viruses and bacteria that it could also be. And so you have to figure out, well, maybe try this supplement. And since I am not medical medium who has the voice of spirit in his ear, I can't know exactly what's wrong with you.
Right. And oddly enough, even when you're going through it, you can't know exactly what's wrong with you. You just have to know, well, I've got this symptom and this symptom and this symptom. And going by guidance, whether from us or from somebody like the medical medium or the GAPS or GAPS practitioner, then you can say, well, it might be this. And you try that because it's some trial and error, but it's also some reading and researching and going out on your own. So MM is now our third protocol. Really? Well, whatever it takes to heal.
Yes. We hope it's your final protocol.
Yes, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Yes, this has been amazing.
Hey, Tosh!
Hi, Amy.
And so what we're going to do is a quick overview of the different diet / protocols that we're going to talk about over the next few days. But the first one tonight is the GAPS diet. The second one, the next night, will be the medical medium diet. He doesn't like to call it a protocol.
You mean he doesn't call it a diet? Well, he doesn't like to call it a protocol either.
Okay, so he didn't call it either one.
He doesn't want it to be anything.
I'm going to be straightforward. I don't care. Because one thing I learned in biology is a protocol is a set of steps that you follow to get to a goal. In this case, you'll have a DNA extraction protocol. That's how to get DNA out of a cell, right? So you follow the steps and follow the concentrations of all the primers and the extraction techniques and all this, and you wind up with DNA extracted from the cell, okay? So to me, it's a protocol or diet, whatever you want to call it. The medical medium, and now the GAPS diet, so you know, is a very high-fat, high-protein diet. There are very few, if any, carbs on it, especially in the introductory phase, all right? And it is meant to heal your gut from the inside. And it does do that for the most part. At least it did for me and others that I know. Now, the medical medium diet is an all fruit, mainly raw fruit and raw vegetable diet. There are some things like cooked potatoes and that kind of thing, and there are other cooked recipes. But it's a no meat, truthfully very little or no fat, non-fat diet.
There are varying degrees of how hardcore you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
The most perfect would be plant-based completely without eating the foods he says not to ever eat, plus strep foods not to eat,
mm-hmm.
and no fat. That would be perfect. But we aren't perfect.
No.
So
we're all human. We all have our issues with food. So
you can still find healing though on that diet even if you don't be perfect.
Right. And I'd truthfully having been on GAPS for 4.5 years and then switching to medical medium later, medical medium diet is far more forgiving to a certain extent. I mean, if you have a serious strep infection and your autistic child has been diagnosed with pandas or something like that, or has bad behavior, or SIBO, or has bad behaviors because of SIBO or pandas, then you can't eat any of the strep-feeding foods without having a serious breakout of bad behavior. Ask me, because I've dealt with it and she has too. So the next night we're going to talk about all natural foods and supplements. Supplements are important on both diets. Medical medium a little bit more so. They're required a little bit more so. All right, we'll talk about the supplements on the GAPS diet that we used, and then the supplements on the medical medium diet that we are using. So we'll move on.
I was thinking that it was the other way around, that the supplements were more necessary on GAPS than medical medium, because food can heal you so much. The food that you eat.
I remember her saying in the book, Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, the woman who designed the GAPS diet, that supplements weren't all that necessary.
Well, he has also said that.
That's it. Okay, well, then we'll say
but I do remember that you had to have HCl on the GAPS diet.
Okay. So one supplement,
mm-hmm.
and maybe others. We will check into that as we talk about it. So, because we aren't perfect either.
Nope.
But the GAPS diet. The GAPS diet was designed by Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride to treat her severely autistic son. And the intention of the diet was to heal gastrointestinal damage and brain dysfunction, because scientific research has since found out that there is a direct link with poor intestinal health and brain dysfunction. And so, I didn't, up until Michelle brought the GAPS diet to me back in 2013, I never really sat down to think about that link. And I don't think most people do, But she pointed that out. We got the book. We looked through it. Or at least we looked through the website, because we didn't have the book yet.
It's all on the website.
It is all on the website. And so after looking through all the information, excuse me, and we noticed that it made sense. It made sense to us then. And it still does to a certain extent, but we've since found out on Medical Medium there is one more cause that is actually kind of the original cause. That's a backed up stagnant liver, which I talked about last night. But, or the night before.
The night before.
Okay. And so, but Dr. Campbell McBride, she did recover her son from severe autism. Now that's saying something. People sometimes hear my story and like, oh, that's awesome, you know, because you recover from autism. To me, the more awesome stories are from severe autism, because there can be severe aggression, head banging, severe self-harm. I mean, basically those people just are not connected to their world who suffer with severe autism. And when those kids get recovered, that is a very amazing story to me.
Yes.
So, but she designed the diet for her severely autistic son, which she subsequently recovered. She developed it from a diet called the specific carbohydrate diet that was developed in the 1920s and 30s by a Canadian doctor, and I don't remember his name. But the GAPS diet has what's the word? A pedigree, you might say. But again, it was intended to heal gastrointestinal damage and brain dysfunction. The diet itself consists, in its introductory phase, meat broth, fat. Now, animal fats. You can have oils too, plant-based oils and that type of thing, as well as other animal fats like butter or ghee, which is a butter, or lard, you know, pork fat, that type of thing. But probiotics, raw garlic, fermented foods for maximum healing. Fermented foods like kimchi, what's the other one? Sauerkraut, kefir, which is a fermented dairy, and things like that. Now, that's only on the introductory phase. And pretty much that was the only phase I was on in the diet for 18 months.
Anything else would cause regressions for him.
It would. And the next few phases introduce foods back to your diet, like very well cooked, what we would normally call overcooked veggies or fruit, that type of thing. And so, yep, this is the book, The GAPS Gut and Psychology Syndrome. All right. Now, let's talk real quick about.
Oh, did I just close your page?
As long as it has a bookmark in it, you didn't, but it doesn't have the bookmark in it. So
go ahead and talk. I'll find it.
Okay.
That picture.
And so anyway, what I want to do next is talk about the gut damage that she talks about. Our intestinal tract is some huge amount of feet long, right? I'm going to be exact and say it's a huge amount of feet long. All right. I don't remember what it is,
that
but
human feet?
But it is millipede feet. I don't know, but it is a long stretch of digestive organ. All right, and she's looking for it.
30 feet.
30 feet. I was going to say 25, so I needed to round it up a few more feet.
Okay.
But anyway, 30 feet long, and the entire surface of it is covered in what they call, or what is called, an epithelial layer. All right, that epithelial layer is. Let's see if I can get this to be a good picture.
Here, where's me?
And okay, there we go. I'm gonna have to do this, but these are.
I could hold it.
You could.
Okay.
Fingers out the way
Okay,
there.
sorry.
All right, there you go. These are microvilli. Okay, am I pointing to it? There you go. Those are microvilli. You see that dark line right on the outside? That is the layer of enterocytes. Enterocytes are cells that process food. That is exactly what they do. They don't. There you go.
I was trying to show your face.
Oh, well, they don't need to see my face.
Okay.
They need to see these things. And so that dark line, that is the epithelial layer inside the intestine, and it covers the surface of these microvilli. Well, as you can see inside the little lobes of the microvilli here, those are supposed to be blood vessels. Not that you can see this up close at all, but what happens is the food gets processed by the enterocytes in this layer, and then the food gets taken and put into the blood, into the circulation system, the circulatory system, into these blood vessels, and then gets taken where it needs to go to be continually processed. Now, when these microvilli and this layer of enterocytes right here, when that gets damaged, then stuff goes directly into the bloodstream without being processed. That means that food that still contains bacteria, maybe some very small microscopic parasites, viruses, pesticides, what else? Heavy metals, those go directly into the bloodstream, bypassing the processing that the enterocytes right here do, and they get and all of that bad stuff gets dumped right into your blood. And so your body doesn't process it out at all. And so the whole point of the diet is to heal up that enterocyte layer and those microvilli. And
thank you, Taj.
Yeah, one of our friends says villi look a little silly, and I agree when you can't point to them, you know, or even get near them because you're going the opposite direction of the page. But anyway,
this might be the most silly one we've done.
Science was never this fun. But anyway, when those little villi get damaged, all that stuff just gets dumped into your blood system. The whole point of the GAPS diet is to repair that layer of enterocytes and the villi, the microvilli, so that they can work properly. Well, for me and for others that I know of who've been on the GAPS, it worked. Now, I think it worked for Michelle, too, to a certain point.
Right.
But
the problem was I was feeding viruses, and
that's what I was getting to,
yeah, they started getting so backed up in my liver with all the fat that
your liver couldn't do anything about it.
Completely sick.
Right. And so she may still have a little bit of gut damage, but hers is considerably healed up than what it used to be.
I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah, she says she's pretty good, so we're going with that.
Yeah, I mean, I used to not be good.
No, used to be sick quite often, and numerous times a day, in fact. And so, but the whole point of that, the proteins in the meat broth and in the meat go to build new enterocyte cells and new microvilli. Well, the fermented foods and the probiotics go to replace bad bacteria that have damaged the gut. And the good bacteria goes in and repopulates your intestinal tract, and those good bacteria actually help you digest your food, right? The raw garlic is used to kill off bad bacteria and bad viruses and that type of thing. And, you know, that makes me beg the question, are there good viruses?
I thought the same thing.
Right, so I'll have to check on that sometime. And but the raw garlic helps kill off bacteria and viruses that you don't want in your system. And then the fat helps to build, along with the proteins, new enterocyte cells and new microvilli. Well, this diet works pretty well for some people. It did for me. I don't think it works 100% for everyone.
Heavy metals out, though.
Well, she talks about juicing in the book, designed to detox heavy metals. But I couldn't do juicing because my gut was never healthy enough to do it, and I kept having regressive behaviors every time I would add vegetables or fruit, whether cooked or uncooked, or juice to my diet. We did carrot juice for a while, and that brought back regressions.
I think you just had so much strep.
Exactly. So that didn't help me. You see what I mean? But then leaving the GAPS diet, when I did, and then moving on to medical medium really helped. So, but one thing I can tell you, on any diet, there is one secret. In fact, truthfully, there's one secret to success, and this is it: perseverance.
Just never stop.
No, if you have to take a break for a day or two, fine, and get right back on the gravy train, so to speak. No food pun intended. Shut up. And so get right back on the diet and just keep going, because sure, you're gonna fall off the wagon. I guess that's what isn't that what it is? Fall off the wagon.
You sound like that guy on that show, the cliche man.
Well, since you're going to be that specific, we'll go with that. And so anyway, I sound like the cliche guy. But anyway, yeah, if you have trouble, just get back on the diet and continue. We all have trouble. I do. In fact, I posted recently about trouble I had being off the diet just for one day.
Yeah.
So it happens. So just keep going. Persevere. That is the key. Now, that was the basics of the GAPS diet, because that's all you need right now. But we will see you guys tomorrow night, as long as you're continuing with the celery juice and the heavy metal detox smoothie.
I want to shout out to our podcasters who have no idea what the picture looks like that you were holding up. And I guess we could post the picture on our...
We can find a picture. That's not a problem. Maybe I can find a gross photo. That'd be cool.
No, we won't do that.
Oh, all right.
Okay, so tomorrow night we'll talk about the medical medium diet.
We will. And again, you guys be sure you're doing the celery juice and the heavy metal detox smoothie as often as you can. And we'll see you then.
Okay, bye
Bye-bye.
guys.